Carolyn Dube here. Oh, what's the play for today? Today I'm in my art journal and I'm using something that I just couldn't throw away. During our move, we had fragile stickers. I just bought a roll of them and yeah, they weren't that expensive and I didn't really notice how many came on the roll. I didn't have that much fragile stuff in my life and we had a ton of it left. And I just couldn't part with it because it's a sticker. I don't care what it says. It's a sticker. I can't get rid of it, right? So this is what inspired today's play. And yes, along the way, you'll see the plan change pretty early. And of course, there's an oops in there too. Having such a huge roll of these fragile stickers left over from our move means I am completely comfortable using a bunch of them here to cover this entire piece of cardstock. My goal is to simply make a giant pile of fragile stickers. Okay, this isn't really giant. It's like the size of a piece of cardstock. Once the whole page is filled in enough that I can cut a shape out of it, what I'm going to do is flip it over. That way I can draw the shape that I want. Now, I could freehand and not even trace the heart here and draw it out. But I know with me, when I do that, I get some really weird shapes that might not actually be considered hearts. So that's why I like to give myself a little bit of a pencil guide here for cutting it out. Now the goal here is to use the heart. I want to tell you right now that that is my goal. And spoiler alert, that's not what's going to happen. I went through my stash of art journals and found a background that I thought went really nicely with the heart. And as soon as I got this on the counter, I decided the background paper was actually something that I wanted to use more than the actual heart. So I went with it and found a place to position it on here. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering what made that purple background, it's spray inks, but I did it so long ago, I couldn't even tell you for sure which brand or exactly which color or if I used one or more than one. I don't know. It's just a purple background that I've got there. That was good old gel medium that I was using to glue this down. And as I trim up this edge, I realize I really don't like all that white paper around my stickers. So what can I do about that? Well, I do have that big roll of stickers that I'm trying to use up. So what I'm going to do is simply cover up all of that white space with more of these stickers. It was about this time in the process where I really began to comprehend how many stickers are on this roll, because it doesn't feel like I'm even making a dent in it with all the ones that I'm using here. I may have to do a billboard with these stickers to use this stuff up. As I was getting the stickers on here, something caught my eye. A little piece of treasure, it turns out. And that is that skinny white piece of paper there with the little ends of the fragile stickers. That thing just looks really cool to me at the moment. So it's going to go in the pile of scraps along with the heart. And that way it can be used on a future something, a collage, an art journal page, a card, who knows what, but I know that I like it and I want to hang on to it. So you can see here how I managed to accumulate boxes of little odds and ends and things other people might call trash. All that open space in there inside the heart is just screaming at me for some journaling. And what I'm writing here are actual words, but don't sweat it if you can't read them, because I can't either. It's scribble journaling. So what am I writing about in there? Well, it might be a surprise to you that for some reason I'm thinking about the word fragile and hearts. And so what I'm writing about here is the fragility of the heart, the vulnerability of it, and also the resilience of the heart and how much it can come and deal with and help you through and all that kind of thing. Now, this big old Sharpie here is giving me a little bit of an edge, and I'm going to tell you, not really loving it. Yep, this is officially an oops, an outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly. And I guarantee something more is going to have to happen to that coming up in the near future, because I really don't like it the way it is. The stencil that I'm using here is called Circles Laramie, and it's one that I created for over at StencilGirl Products. And I'm just going to do a cosmetic sponge here, and actually, it's kind of a gunky cosmetic sponge, so I'm going to cut off that bottom and start again. I've got the black paint right there on a little gel press plate. I love to use those things for paint palettes. The space that I've got here that I want to put the circles in is a little bit wider than the stencil, but that's not going to be a problem because what I can do is simply slide the stencil over, line up the pattern, and then finish up those last little bits, and it'll look like it's all matched up perfectly. I'm loving how the circles look, and I'm still not happy with the black around that heart. So I'm going to add another element on here. I'm going to do some scribble journaling right on top of those stickers. I'm using a fountain pen to do this. And would you like to know what it is I'm journaling about here? I am writing down all sorts of different ideas of what I can do around that black around the purple heart that I really don't like. This isn't about a deep soul exploration here. This is me basically writing, I really don't like that black line. I really want something different there. What can I do about that black line? As I'm trying to figure out what I want to do to it. This is why I love scribble journaling, because nobody will know that. Well, except you and me. But anytime somebody looks back at this, if I'm flipping through my journal, it won't look like, hey, she just couldn't decide what to do about that ugly black line that she really didn't like that she made. Instead, they think it's this neat little artsy touch to it, and that it must be something deep and insightful. But no, not this time. Absolutely no insight whatsoever. And I'm going to keep writing on here until I figure out what to do about that black line. And while I'm doing that, I have a favor to ask of you. If you've been enjoying this video, I'd so appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And by the way, if you'd like to see more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll know as soon as I've got a new video out. And of course, if you've enjoyed this, if you've had fun and you want to see more of what I'm up to, you can find it all over on the website at acolorfuljourney.com. Well, thankfully, an idea came to me as to what to do with it. And that was to make the line a lot bigger. That paint and cosmetic sponge that I already had out there, I went around it and really widened up the line, made it less straight and perfect. It's got more of a feathered or frayed kind of edge to it now. Now, once that was on there, then I needed to put something on top of that. And to write on top of that wet paint with something white, I needed to use a Fineliner. And what this basically is a tube that when you get it, it's empty, and you fill it with whatever you want. Typically, I fill these with either ink or a very fluid paint. But again, if it can come out the tip, you can absolutely put it in here. And it also has a pin inside the cap so that when you put that on, that prevents it from clogging. And then you basically give it a little squeeze and use it just like a pencil. And finally, with this layer, I am happy at long last with the black around that purple heart. Thanks so much for joining me for today's play. If you don't want it to end, if you want more, check it all out over on my website at acolorfuljourney.com. Thanks so much for letting me be a part of your colorful journey.